Heidi made a point about the Rwanda scheme. We've got to have a proper returns agreement, and we've got to have a proper deterrent. The reason they cancelled it is because they don't care about tackling illegal migration. That's why it's gone up. We need to see it controlled.
It didn't work, Richard.
And
you know it didn't.
The reason it didn't work is because it wasn't allowed to take place.
Okay, let me bring other people in, because we haven't...
In fairness to Heidi, the day that Yvette Cooper walked into the Home Office, of the hundreds of people that have been rounded up to be sent to Rwanda, only 2 were still in custody because the courts had let them all out. Everyone knew that. That's why I resigned from the government. Everyone else who sat around the cabinet table were happy to spin a yarn to the British public because they thought, well, let's eke out the last few months before a general election. Let's not be honest with the public. And that's one of the reasons why people have lost faith in the Tory party.
We both stood at the last general election, Robert, on the same manifesto.
No, not really. I put on my election.
No, literally,
I put on my election leaflets that we should leave the ECHR,
which is exactly now our policy.
Oh, right.
Well, so, it is, Robert.
Well, I don't know what the Tory party's policy is, but
we all know that
I would be stunned if the Tory party ever left the ECHR.
We all know that you don't want no Reforms Party policy is because you voted for welfare one day and then now you're fighting against it the next day.
Okay.
No, I think that's very clear now.
All right. So,
yeah. I mean, if you look at the peak of net migration, it kind of nearly topped 1 million in 1 year in 23. It's now down to 200,000. And it's I'm sure Heidi will take the credit for that, but it's true that the last Conservative government, the measures that were put in place have contributed to that. And it's continuing to go down. And so you could have soon a potential net outflow of people from this country. And then you're left in the position where you think, well, have we got the staff that we need to run the care homes and the health service and pick the crops in the field? And so it's not something where you've got kind of complete control of the tiller. You can pull it in one direction and it suddenly starts to fall. And I bet you that continues to fall. And then you're left with a different position where you might have skill shortages. In America, and has had this big deportation of illegal immigrants, you've got all sorts of employers in America saying, whoa, this has got to stop because we haven't got the people now to pick the crops or to work in the restaurants or to clean the bedrooms in the hotels. And so you can end up in a situation where you stifle economic growth because you haven't got the people to do the jobs.
Yeah, so overall net migration is currently at its lowest level in half a decade. And so that corroborates what John has just said. I do still think that we should want the brightest and best to come to this country to set up new businesses, employ people. I also think, if I'm totally honest, people meet people overseas, they fall in love, they start relationships. And if someone is earning a decent wage and they meet the income threshold, then actually saying, no, somebody couldn't come and join someone, I don't think that's the right thing for our country. I think we need a firm but fair immigration system. That's why, since we've come into government, we've increased the number of deportations and removals that have been happening for people who are here illegally. If you don't have a right to be in this country, you should have enforcement action taken against you. And that is why nearly 60,000 people have been deported or removed, a 31% increase on the preceding 19 months under the last Conservative government. And, whilst I'm willing to make the case for immigration to this country, I also think it is totally unacceptable that we have people who are crossing the channel in boats in an uncontrolled way. And the government is serious about tackling this problem. We can't fix it overnight, but our work with the French has prevented 40,000 channel crossings this year. We've seized 905 boats. We've taken down 18,000 social media accounts used by these people smugglers that are essentially trafficking people into the country. We're increasing the raids that we're doing on rogue businesses that are employing illegal workers here. That means if you've got more raids, you've got more arrests, you've got more removals from the country. So we're doing the hard work of getting the immigration system back under control. But the truth of the matter is we inherited an absolute mess from the previous government. And it's these two over here. These lads can bicker all they like, but we're fixing the problems that they created, and now they pretend that they've got all the answers. Don't listen to them.
Right. So look.
We need to see it controlled.
It didn't work, Richard.
And
you know it didn't.
the reason it didn't work is because it wasn't allowed to take place.
Okay,
and
let
didn't
me
happen
bring
and
other people
cancelled
in,
it before it
because
was
we
done.
haven't...
In fairness to Heidi, the day that Yvette Cooper walked into the Home Office, of the hundreds of people that had been rounded up to be sent to Rwanda, only 2 were still in custody because the courts had let them all out. Everyone knew that. That's why I resigned from the government. Everyone else who sat around the cabinet table were happy to spin a yarn to the British public because they thought, well, let's eke out the last few months before a general election. Let's not be honest with the public.